So the third lesson that comes to mind is you have to be able to sell your own stuff. And again, to people in this room, they'd be going, oh, Michael, stop with these platitudes. We get it. These are things that I learned in basic MBA 101. But the truth is I have an MBA. And these are things that maybe they were certainly touched upon, but they weren't drilled into the level of importance I think entrepreneurs need to truly understand. I meet a lot of people today, and they say, Mike, I got this great idea. Here's this idea, it's invention, it solves this problem, it's terrific. I say, oh my God, that's great, are you gonna sell it? He goes, well, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm a good guy to invent this stuff. I'm gonna try to find someone else to sell. I said, look, you have the passion. If you can't sell your idea because you can present it the best way possible, then don't expect someone else to succeed. Back in the beginning, Blackboard actually had a lot of opportunities to talk about with even resellers or having other people to sell it, and I don't believe that we would be successful if we hadn't built up our own sales force. I don't believe we would be successful if it wasn't for the fact that I myself was responsible for many of the first initial sales. I mean, early on, I remember I was telling you about those same events that we would go to, events like this where there were speakers, and I would always go out there working to promote the company. In fact, I remember at these Netpreneur events, they had these great speakers, and at the end they would have an open mic on the floor. And anybody could come and make an announcement about their company. And I remember standing in line, like 20 minutes, just waiting. And again, I was tired, it's early in the morning. Get up there, finally walk up to the microphone. Hello, my name is Michael Chasen. I'm the founder and CEO of Blackboard. We're an e-learning company. And I'd like to announce that we've just done a deal with Microsoft. Now that deal was we had just bought Microsoft Office. And I find that this is the advice I most often give to entrepreneurs. I meet a lot of people who come up with a lot of great ideas, but I say, look, if those great ideas, if you can't sell them, if you can't sell your vision, your ability to deliver it, and if you can't sell it to clients, then it certainly is going to be difficult for other people too. So, I'd like to stand up here and say that the vision that we had for Blackboard was a clear vision and one that I knew from day one. But actually, in going out there and meeting with people in the community, we got a lot of great feedback and a lot of input. But one of the things that I learned early on is that you need to truly be an expert in the area that you're focused on building a business to be successful. In fact, when people come to me today, students right out of school, they say, Mike, I have a great idea, or I'm entrepreneurial, I want to start a company, do you have any ideas? I say, look, pick an industry you like, whether that's the telecom industry, the online industry, the software industry, the car industry, the resale industry, whatever it is, and go get any job there whatsoever. Go be a front desk receptionist. Go be an intern there, because if you're truly entrepreneurial, then throw yourself into an industry, become an expert, because you will see opportunity. So I myself, I was working at KPMG Pete Marwick in the higher ed consulting group. So to me, it was obvious when this opportunity came up that schools were wiring the dorm room and the classroom, yet there was nothing that made that useful for teaching and learning. There was no software. It was an obvious entrepreneurial opportunity. Now, interestingly enough, though, my friend and I, when we were working together, we had 2 or 3 other ideas as well. We saw improvements for consulting companies that we could offer. We saw other educational software opportunities. But because we were becoming an expert in the area of consulting and education. And that's where Blackboard really ended up growing out of. Saying this, I remember very early on, we started meeting with a lot of venture capital firms to raise money, because we knew that for Blackboard to truly grow, we needed to have the support of the community, we needed to have financing, and we wanted some expertise to be able to help us out. And we went and met with a firm, and they said, well, look, we have, tell me about your business. And we have a lot of money, we have a lot of expertise, but tell me what it is that you're looking for. I said, well, let me explain. Let me explain the business of Blackboard. We are selling enterprise software, but we're going to sell it on a subscription basis. So they're going to pay us the same money every year, and we're going to sign up more and more schools, and that amount of money is going to continue to grow every year, year over year, and continue to grow. And very little services work. It's very minor services work. In fact, the clients can just download it and run it themselves. And we'll get a little bit of services, maybe 10% services, but we're 90% product. Product has high margins. The guy goes, are you crazy? Washington, D.C. is a services town. You can hire someone for $50 an hour, build them out at $200 an hour. Look at all the federal contracts that are out there. Schools want to pay big services dollars. It's easy to scale. You come from KPMG, you should be a services company. We left that meeting, obviously not thinking we were going to get financing, and literally headed to another meeting right across town. Sat down with the venture capitalist there, and he said to me, tell me a little bit about your business. I said, well, we're quick learners. We said, well, let me explain. We're a services company. We're going to develop enterprise software. We're going to sell it very cheap on a subscription basis, but we're going to make our money with services work. I come from KPMG. I'm an expert in services. We're in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm going to hire people for $50 and bill them out at $200, and that's how we're going to scale. And the guy says, you can't compete with the service providers in Washington, D.C. You're not going to be able to hire anyone. You can't scale. Services has bad margins. You need to be a product company. And I mention this because, of course, while you need to go out there in the community and you need to get feedback and you, of course, want to continue to reach out to learn, at the same time, you need to be an expert in your area. You need to know what it is that your company is about and truly know where the opportunity is, while certainly at the same time reaching to get additional feedback, but knowing really where you stand and where the opportunity is. Very last thing, the fifth and final piece that I've learned through the years is never be more than one step away from making money. Now, again, maybe something that's kind of obvious to a lot of people in this room, but you'd be surprised at the amount of business models I get where people come to me and they say, Mike, let me tell you my idea. My idea is I'm going to give my software away to this industry. I mean, I still gotta, even though I'm giving it away, I gotta go in and do a whole sales pitch and get them to adopt it. And then once they've accepted it and installed it, I'm gonna go back to them and I'm gonna get them to get a lot of users on that system. And then once I have a lot of users, I'm then going to go to advertisers, and then I'm going to sell them the right to access those users and take a % of the money that they make in selling their product. And that, to me, seems so many steps removed from being able to make money. Blackboard's model very simple. I have built software, and we sell it. Now, the interesting thing is when we had this big .com bubble come up, a lot of people thought that the more important thing was scale or maybe the ability to make money in the future instead of being right up front. And what happened was Blackboard very quickly went from being a company that was maybe just one of two in a field to suddenly we had 20 competitors out there. In fact, we had competitors that were literally had the same software as they were giving it away to all of their clients. And we were actually very worried about that. And people now, they say to me, Mike, you guys were so smart. How did you know to charge money for your product? And I'd like to stand up here and say that we were able to look at the economics and we knew that the other model wouldn't work, but the truth was we just couldn't figure out what everybody else apparently knew, because I opened up Excel and I went down and I did 0 times, and no matter what number I did, and I went all the way down to 65,555, and it still came to 0. So we thought that we were morons, because all of these other companies were apparently building models about giving their software away free, and we knew that we had some costs that we had to pay, and we knew we needed to make money, and yet there was this giant push towards this idea of almost a non-business model, and really we just couldn't figure out how to change it, so we ended up not. And then when the bubble ended up crashing, we ended up coming through, and Blackboard was a company doing $40 million in revenue and running break even, and literally almost every one of my competitors ended up going out of business. And the funny thing was, it wasn't just my competitors that were focused on giving the software away free. We had major banks come to us and said, Michael, we got an idea for your business. We'd like you to lower your prices from what you're charging now to 0, and we will help take your company public, because you'll be able to get quicker adoption. And so there was a lot of pressure on us from not only our competitors, but even the general industry out there. And I use that as a lesson now, because there are continued bubbles that come, and there are great ideas that take off, and you always have the terrific examples of the YouTubes and the Facebooks, which are great companies, and they may make money or eventually in the future, but it's either a lot of upfront capital or maybe the business model isn't as well known. I say that, to me, those companies are like being hit by lightning. My next door neighbor, who does handiwork around the house, and he wins the lotto, you can't go, so I'm therefore going to be a handyman because I want to win the lotto. So similarly, you can't rely on those type of business models when you're starting a company. You need to be focused on something that makes money so your business can be successful long-term. And it is literally amazing how these same 5 basic principles, focusing on the business and not the office, networking your network, being able to sell your own stuff, making sure you're an expert in your business, and never being more than one step away from making money, I continue to find myself readdressing as our company grows, even though these are the very first lessons I learned in creating Blackboard. So with that, I want to thank you for letting me share my story with all of you today. I'm looking forward to a great event today and being part of it.